Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends. I'm going to go with the NFL Conference Championship. Poor resting to the Dallas Cowboys and their fans. Some NBA news, including a trouble in the Big Apple. Also going to go over the debate James Harden versus Russell Westbrook. Who would you build your team around? And awesome games done quick, raising some serious coin. Starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to Debates Among Friends live on Mixlr. We are here every single Wednesday night. Same Debates Among Friends time, same Debates Among Friends channel. This is the 35th edition of the sports podcast. We're happy you decided to join us tonight. I am the Professor John Gotti, and always by my side is the coach, Doc Ocean. Doc, how you doing tonight? How you doing?
I'm doing good after an emotional weekend of football where I had to tell the professor and share secretly that I almost cried after the Green Bay Packers called a screen. Oh, goodness, I'm ready to talk about this game.
But before we get to that, and that's going to be the end of the show because we have a lot to say.
Oh, yes.
Let's start off with something heartwarming, and we'll warm up the cockles in our hearts and in our chests. Let's talk about the charity event that happened this past week. Awesome Games Done Quick. It is done by a group called Games Done Quick. They raise money by playing video games, whether it's old school, new school, indie games, whatever, for the people, just like us at Debates Among Friends. Cheap plug. This event was raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. I watched this pretty much the whole time. I had the doctor grace the GDQ community with his presence as well too, live on stream to watch it. Doctor, we watched the Left 4 Dead speed run. It let you feel a couple of things. You want to tell the people about it?
The one thing I really realized immediately was that these people, number one, obviously studied all of these games, something which I just don't have the internal compass to do. I rely on the professor to lead me through all of the games. I just point and shoot. I snipe. I'll go two guns. I'll throw a bomb. I'll get in there, sacrifice. I'll do it all. But the one thing I can't do, can't drive, can't lead. I just can't. Can't drive, can't lead, just can't do it. So, I mean, it's watching them play Left 4 Dead, something that we play pretty often or used to play pretty often. Watching them use even the tier one shotgun was pretty interesting and amazing to see. And them skipping some of the credenzas, which initially I was like, no way they're gonna finish this in an hour, and then I look. And they're just breezing through things. They're cheating. They're glitching. And I mean, I'll give them the credit where credit is due. But raising $500,000 for anything is no easy feat. And of course, I give them all the credit in the world. And I appreciate you introducing me to this particular environment and arena because it's something that's pretty sweet.
No, absolutely. And actually, they ended up raising pretty much a ballpark figure grand total of 2.2, well, over $2.21 million. They actually raised well over $1 million on Saturday alone, which was the last day of the entire event. So the understanding, and by the way, that was because of Super Metroid for a four-player race, and there was some controversy with that as well too. But I'll get that in a second. But the fact
Sure.
that they was able to raise that much, $700,000, was based off of um, one bidding war within itself. Within Super Metroid, they do something called either you save the animals or you kill the animals. Basically, towards the end of the game, you have the option of saving the animals or pretty much putting them down like Lassie.
Mm.
And it raised over $700,000. So like that within itself is just huge.
I
But
mean,
the
what did they
con
choose? What did they choose to do?
Oh, they chose to save the end. Was at the end. It was a
Which,
lot of late bids at the very, very end that brought it over the top. So it was pretty
well,
interesting.
and to keep in mind also the people that may have not even heard of this, what happens is these guys are playing these games. Let's just take for the generic and regular video game player playing Mario One, Super Mario Brothers. Basically, they're running through the game. Not about killing enemies, just running through it. And then a bidder will come in and say, "Hey, I'll give you $20 if you can beat King Koopa with less than 20
It's more
hits."
of they make those bidding wars before they play, not as they're playing.
Well, I feel like some people, like when I was watching Left 4 Dead, some people said, "Hey, I'll give you I'll give you $20 right now if you can do this right now." So some people were doing it during the game, which I did notice, which is pretty sweet because it still keeps
Mm.
people interactive and it gives people an opportunity to, or gives the gamers an opportunity to raise some extra money while they're playing the game. You know what I mean? So it was a pretty interesting thing that we actually saw there.
Absolutely, and not only is this interesting, but the community itself, they're very welcoming. So anyone who wants to try to give it a try, Doc Ocean definitely wants to try to give Left 4 Dead a try one day, maybe.
One day.
But everyone there, they're great people. They enjoy talking to people. They enjoy teaching people what they know how to do because these are a lot of the games that we grew up with. So they just want to find out the kind of bugs and make the game much more fun. Add more replay value to it. So it was just an incredible event. But speaking of the controversy that was going on during the four-player uh, run event, there was an issue with one of the people that was on the couch. Basically, someone who's sitting on the couch, uh, talk about the game, talk about certain bugs that they're doing, certain things that they do to get an extra step over the game itself to get finished with the game quicker. This one particular person basically told the audience because there's a meme that's going around about Waluigi. I don't know who you know who Waluigi is, sir.
I don't.
Waluigi is basically the Wario for Luigi. Get it? Waluigi, Luigi.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
So basically, he makes a sound, "Wah!" that's his sound that he makes. So it became a meme so much to where the audience would start going "Wah!" and during the speed run, they would start doing the sounds during like certain completion mission tones for the game. And
Yikes.
yes, it's fun. Yes, it did disrupt a couple of things with the runners as well too because they can hear it as well as putting on these type of headphones. Shout out to the headphones for debate among friends. But one of the
Mm-hmm.
people on the couch basically told them to basically said that they're cancerous and they should stand in front of a shuttle bus outside the hotel, which was a huge
Oh my
no-no.
God.
It caused a big stir on Twitter.
I'm
Basically, the guy
sure.
got removed from the couch. Certain people on Twitter were saying, "Hey, this guy deserves a medal," blah blah blah. Basically, they're just being trolls. But
Sure.
other than that, I mean, it was great. There was a Mega Man X race that was just incredible, hyped as all heck. But I could sit here and talk about that for an entire hour, but we're not going to do that. Let's go to something that's going to make my high go back down very low, and that's Carmelo Anthony.
As a Knicks fan, I know your heart jumped a little bit. I saw a few posts out there where well, I saw one post that said that Phil Jackson shouldn't be playing with Melo's mind right now. But I mean, is it really playing with his mind? Like, aren't we trying to figure out what's wrong with the Knicks at this point?
I mean,
I
there's a
mean,
lot of things
seriously.
wrong with the Knicks, but it's not just Carmelo Anthony.
I mean, what do you think is really wrong with the Knicks? I mean, think about it. They have a pretty, I mean, Derrick Rose is at least at this point a mediocre point guard. He can still
But
get
he
you
still
some
averages
baskets.
22 points a game, though, which is crazy.
Yeah, but then he finds himself being benched. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you don't score 20 points a game and get benched. So obviously, there's a disconnect somewhere there. Um, what is it going to take for the Knicks to get back to their old, well, not their old ways. I'll say their '90s ways, where they're a constant presence in the playoffs.
I think what's going to help is getting rid of the old guards and letting the young bucks, haha, shout out to the young bucks, letting the young bucks flourish because a lot of the youth that my team has can make a difference and can allow us to make some sort of run.
But
It
didn't
would
they do that by getting rid of like Kurt Heinrich and some of those other? Some of the other guards. Did you guys have Kurt Ryan Heinrich? You had a point guard that was really old. Whoever his name,
Jose
whatever his name. That's
Calderon.
Calderon,
Heinrich, same
Heinrich.
person.
Might as well be the same player. Might as well be the same player. They, tried the old guy. Young guys are much faster, stronger,
And
and they're
hey,
60-minute players.
yeah. Well, like people like KP, we already know that he's going to be a stud for a while. Someone who I'm still very high on, and he started on Monday,
Mhm.
Ron Baker.
Right, right.
I'm just saying, sometimes the professor has reads, sometimes he's crazy, but this time the professor has reads.
Now the question is, and I posed this to someone on my Facebook. Um, if Carmelo lifts the no trade clause, I mean, who's out there? Who do you want? I mean, what position do you go after? You got a center, you got a power forward. I mean, you have a few guards. I mean, who do you go after here?
You know what's going to end up happening, and it's going to upset a lot of people when I say this? He's going to end up going to Cleveland.
Oh, what are you gonna take Shump back?
We're going to get Shump back. We're going to get JR back.
Oh my goodness, I doubt it. It'll be Kevin Love. You're right.
And Kevin Love.
Love.
It'll be
Somehow,
those three.
somehow Kevin Love will. I guess Kevin Love will be playing the three at this point. Can that work?
I don't know. I don't
I mean,
know.
can that work? Think about it. Derrick Rose, what? Courtney Lee.
Whose playing time is starting to diminish soon because
It is.
he's not showing he's a 60-minute man.
Well, he's really a six. He's really a six man. I mean, Courtney Lee's never really been a great starter. I don't think he's ever really started like that. He's always
Okay,
kept a bench.
I'll be real with you.
Oh,
He was a legit starter when he was in Orlando, but what hurt was when he
was
missed
he
that
though?
shot. When he missed that shot in the finals, that
Oh my
caused them to
God.
lose the game. That what hurt his stock so badly and his confidence to the point that now he's a six man. But before that, he was a pretty solid starting two guard.
I never bought into his brand. He's a six man, maybe even a seventh
Well, I mean,
at
but
best.
we're talking almost a decade ago, so you know,
I mean, was it really a decade or was it like 4 or 5 years ago?
it was a decade ago. It was when the Magic faced the Lakers in the finals. It was during the two-peat.
I don't
It
think
was
that
it was
he,
after 2008, so it was almost 10 years ago. Yeah,
but I think he's always been a one trick pony.
hilarious. Just like that
I mean,
pissant Aaron Aflalo.
oh, I know you love Daniel Swallow, who actually went to Orlando, did he?
He played in Orlando. He was their top scorer.
I mean, hey, but you got rid of him. You picked up some pretty interesting pieces. Again, the only thing I thought they should have did was go after Dwight and not Noah. I think Dwight would have gave them more defensive presence, and I know you love defense, and I also know that defense is something that you said Joakim Noah takes plays off of,
He does.
and he's an offensive liability, which at least Dwight gives you an attempted spin move and a hook shot, which I hated, by the way. I
Honestly, I
hated,
don't
and
even
he's
want Dwight. Like we have big men that are young that I'd rather see on the court than a Dwight Howard or Joakim Noah.
But in order to sell tickets and give the fans something to be happy about, you got to bring in somebody that the people can be happy about. Who, I mean, what other center do you know outside of Joakim Noah that brings that fire? Like, none of these young guys might not have that fire and desire that Joakim Noah has.
But
And that's really the only reason they brought him in.
but we don't know that yet. And granted, I was high on Joakim Noah when we got him, by the way. So I'm not gonna sit here
Of
and
course, of
front
course.
and procrastinate and be a hypocrite, hippity hop
Yeah, don't
hypocrite.
Space Mountain down. Don't tear his Space Mountain down.
But at the same time, we don't
But
know what kind of fire these young guys can have because everyone's just focusing on the star power or lack thereof of people in New
Mhm.
York. Here's the thing about New York Knicks fans that people don't understand. We will get behind people if you show fire and passion. You don't have to be a star. We have a lot of people that wasn't stars, but the New York Knicks fan base was behind them 110% because they laid it all out on the line.
Yes. Um, but I think that the Knicks, they're starting to get into the process of
Hmm.
replacing those old stars. And that's something I always said about the Knicks. I never was a Knicks fan, but growing up in a Knicks household. Brother and my dad both like the Knicks. My uncle liked the Knicks. So when you go over to my grandmother's house, go upstairs, visit your uncle, he's either watching the Yankees or he's watching the Knicks. So
First of all, shout out
I
to the
had one or
Oshie
the other
family.
there. Right. So you're either watching, the Knicks or the Yankees, in which that's when I started to realize that whenever you're watching baseball on TV, even if it looks foul, to me it always looks like a home run, and I always get excited. That's why it's like, wow, it looks like, oh, it's gone, it's gone.
It's
It's a foul
gone.
ball.
It's
Relax,
good.
relax.
It's all
Oh my
good.
God, it's out of here. But with the Knicks, looking back, of course, I always talk about the old days, Ron Harper, Chris Childs, you know, um,
That gritty New
Spree, even
York
when Spreewell got here,
Spreewell, yes.
Mason, Oakley, Allen Houston, some of those guys. And as I look at it, the Knicks were good when they had a pretty solid shooting guard. Small forward has always been, it's one of those situations where they had a grit to them. They were tough. They can handle
Exactly.
the market and the court. And I
Exactly.
think that's where Carmelo fails to meet the expectation.
And it's not that hard though, and that's the thing that people don't understand. It's not that hard. Like we could go out there, play some basketball for the Knicks fan base, and be, you know, die for a couple of loose balls, and they'll love us because we show that we have that fire and that passion, that will to win, to show yes, our heart do bleed orange and blue.
Hmm.
You know, you don't need to be an MVP to get the admiration of New York.
But the last thing I'll say, I know we got to move on to another topic, but the last thing I would say is that the problem is when you look at now Mike D'Antoni, who was
Hmm.
with the Knicks, and you look at the coach prior to that, in Derek Fisher, you start to think, or I guess in vice versa, excuse me, you start to think like, hey, these guys are trying to run their systems.
Hmm.
Obviously, Melo is not a
Well, remember we
system
also had
guy.
the former coach for the Atlanta Hawks too, and we went to the playoffs.
You did, but but we don't know if that coach actually had Melo in a system, or was he just letting him run ISO ball and he was cool with it?
Well, that plus
That's where.
see, and that's the part that's kind of weird. So like for me, like I like to watch old school games, and you know we definitely got to keep on going because we could talk about the Knicks all night long.
Hey,
But
it's basketball. It's
but
basketball, baby.
it's one of the things where you have to look at the tape and watch it. You know, a lot of people, one of the fans on the show, the good people at B-Ball Breakdown, shout outs to them. They make it their passion to analyze these sort of things, and I believe they have clip for it, and I'm gonna have to find it so I can give a full out report. But speaking of star power and who deserves to be the best on top, we are at the midway point of the NBA season,
Oh yes.
and the doctor and the professor have to give out who we feel is the MVP so far this year.
You already know what my vote is.
He's gonna
I mean,
pick.
I
He's gonna
I
pick
got the
Sam
beard.
Decker to be his MVP.
Oh my God. I cannot believe you just went there. First and foremost, Sam Decker is improving week by week, but he is no all-star yet.
And I
I'll
agree
give
with
him
you.
that.
And I was just doing
I'll
that to
give him
troll
that.
you because you kept giving me grief when you drafted him, and I said just give him time, and you'll like him. Lo and behold, it's happening again.
But let's think about this here,
But
though. We
yes,
really needed a point guard. We needed a point guard at that time. That's the only reason I was mad.
which I completely agree with. But you know, for some reason, Daryl Morey, your boy, would continually get
Yeah,
threes to
yeah.
fives all the time, and it was like they're trying to be like the 76ers. They're not the
No,
76ers, but then at the same time they also want to make a playoff run. It doesn't work like that. You can't do it like that.
no,
But
absolutely,
I completely
absolutely.
agree
But
with your choice. James Harden to me is also my midseason MVP so far. You know he's been balling hard. I mean, playing a point guard, uh, pretty much almost averaging a triple double for the season so far. You know the only person that's on par with
absolutely.
him, and we said this last time, 1A and 1B is James Harden and Russell Westbrook because they've both been balling out of their minds. But the article that you
Hmm.
put up a few days ago, you know, both on Facebook and Twitter at TL Double, mentioned about between the two, who would you choose to start your franchise with? And I agree. I would also pick James Harden.
Yeah, I just think that James again, there's not a knock on Russell Westbrook, and
It's
I
not.
think that's what the a lot of the commentators were making. I believe Skip Bayless and a few other guys were making the comments that it was just one of those situations where we feel like I always felt like he did too much. You know what I mean? And this is one of those things where he doesn't have to do that. Like
Yes.
James Harden and the Rockets, everybody rebounds, not just one person. Like when we had
Hmm.
Dwight rebounded, but in this particular
I don't know
system,
about all that, but sure, okay, keep going with that.
Dwight rebounded. Don't you give me that look. Don't you give me that sound and that silence. Dwight rebounded. He averaged about 12 to 15 per game.
I can accept 12. I'm not going to accept 15.
Oh my God. Anywho.
Dwight plays.
Right, so he averaged 12 rebounds a game. James Harden wasn't getting triple doubles every night. But you think about it now, it's not just James Harden rebounding. It's Trevor Ariza rebounding. It's Patrick Beverly rebounding. So bigs aren't necessarily forced to just sit there and rebound. Everybody is running. Montrezl Harrell going to be a great player in the NBA. Hopefully, we hold on to him and not let him go for anything stupid.
He will,
Freaking
unfortunately.
Earl Watson or somebody.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
you know what I mean? Like somebody
Randy
stupid that
Foy.
we. Yeah, exactly. Somebody stupid that we really don't need. But I would build around Harden because he's shown that he can facilitate and he can make everybody around him better. The
Absolutely.
confidence in everybody. I had never seen Trevor Ariza so confident to take his three. Eric Gordon's playing the one of his better seasons. Clint Capella before he got hurt was playing his best season. Not to
Hmm.
take anything away from the Thunder, clearly they miss Kevin Durant.
Absolutely.
Clearly,
Absolutely.
where the Rockets went out
Well,
and
I
got.
mean, we can also say that clearly they also missed right, James Harden as well too, which is
Not
why
necessarily
KD
because
kind of skipped out.
you always said that James Harden. I mean, well, we've actually both always said that James Harden didn't show up in those playoff series when he was in the finals. He didn't show up in that finals appearance.
Nope.
He disappeared. So it was one of those situations where, hey, they went out and they built a team that competed, still competing. They went and got Oladipo. They went and got a whole bunch of players that can compete. I think they already knew that Kevin Durant was leaving.
Yeah, but does that make the situation
Don't
better or
play you
worse
anymore. You
though?
played me. I mean, it really doesn't really matter. It didn't really matter to the Thunder. What's making it worse right now is that they're losing. I mean, obviously Russell Westbrook's doing everything in his power to win it, but that's where I believe that he's making a mistake.
Yeah.
I think he needs to play more like maybe a Chris Paul. Be a distributor. Work to get your players open. We know he can hit the mid-range jumper.
Hmm.
We know he can attack the basket with high energy and try to dunk on somebody. We know that. But what we need you to do is facilitate, make Ennis Cantor better, make Oladipo better, make some of these other guys better so that they're comfortable taking the last shot. Because right now nobody else is taking that last shot.
No one's taking the shot in the last 5 minutes of the game because we all know that Russ. And that's the only notch down against Russ is the fact that he likes to take too many shots. He doesn't trust his teammates or he feels too aggressive, which is good because that is the mentality. And they talked about this for their game tonight, actually, about how he refused to talk to KD and how he holding the grudge. Like that's '90s. That's what we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not no, oh, he's my buddy, he's my friend, and then get destroyed in the finals, KD. I'm sorry, I had BS in my throat. I had to throw that out.
Oh
Um,
my god.
I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
Did he show up? Well, I mean, he kind of did, but he didn't seal
He
the deal.
did.
He didn't seal the
Well,
deal. But back to the point, because I know we're gonna start rambling more. James Harden is my MVP.
I mean, this is what I would say. The thing with James Harden is he finds a way to number one, get to the basket. Everybody talks about him getting to the foul line with his flopping and everything, but if they're gonna call it, I'm gonna take it. I'm all good with it. I promise I'm good with it because I
All I
don't.
know from that is you
Yeah,
tried to do that when we played 1-on-1, and
exactly.
that did not
You
work for
know,
you at all.
it didn't. I mean, I don't
It
got the
didn't work at
speed. You
all.
know what I mean? I don't got the, you know what I mean? I don't got the speed to be euroing out there, but it's all
Like
good. And
that's
one day
almost
I'm
as
gonna
bad as
euro.
Pager. That's all I gotta say.
Oh man, I can't believe you went there. Shout out to Jersey City A Court. Lincoln Park. Birds laughing at people shooting air balls.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
no, but I think James Harden is the better all around player right now. I know people are going to argue that and say, "Oh, Russell Westbrook's more energy and fashion conscious," but when it really comes down
It doesn't mean a
to,
thing. That
I
doesn't
know I
mean
just had to throw it.
peanuts.
I had to throw it in there.
If that's the
Uh,
case, then if you want to talk about energy, Leandro Barbosa would be a 5-time MVP. Come on, stop.
but he's such a glue guy, though. What a glue guy he is, Leandro Barbosa. And that's the kind of player I'm talking about, like somebody that knows his role. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Russell's still trying to figure out his role. And that's why in the seasons that Westbrook has only played by himself and Durant's been out, they haven't made the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs, and that's actually a fact. That's not even an opinion. That's a fact, ladies and
No, that
gentlemen.
is a fact. Yeah, it's a factoid.
We at Debates Among Friends give you nothing but the facts and our predictions because we got reads. Because Debates Among Friends tonight is brought to you by Stella! Oh,
That's
twas.
wow.
But that's the buzzer. Let's go to the next subject. NBA trade rumors. We already talked about Carmelo Anthony. I really don't want to talk about Carmelo Anthony anymore. But your
Sure.
boy, your spirit animal, your bae,
Uh,
Dwight
uh,
Howard,
oh my
might
God.
possibly be traded to the New Orleans.
Chris, did you hear that? You need to bleep that. Cut the show. Make sure you edit that out, Chris. I don't want to hear that in the live tape. You make sure you get that out of here in the
Chris,
recording.
you're not doing that. Scott, if he does it, cut his check
Oh my
completely.
God.
It's not
But let
happening
me
like
tell.
that.
I don't know. I mean, I think that Dwight again, you can't go from Al Horford to Dwight Howard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
you're
same
getting
as
you're
going from, you know, filet mignon to go back to freaking hamburger helper.
you just can't. I mean, if you have to, you have to, of
And yes, I
course.
went there,
But
ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, I mean,
Shout
that's
out to Jay
Professor
Z.
John Gotti style. That's Professor John Gotti style. But my thing is, you can't offensively. Obviously, you would have been better off keeping Al Horford.
Absolutely.
Then they were talking about trading Paul Millsap, and it's like, what in the world are you doing? What are you trying to do? They traded Kyle Korver.
Yep,
I mean,
which I that's still another one of those moves. Even like last year when they picked up Channing Frye, I was just like, this is why I don't like Cleveland.
what's happening? Like, where are they? Why are people just giving away people to these teams for
Because
nothing?
and
For
that's my
nothing.
problem with the Eastern Conference is the fact that they just laid there and let LeBron do stuff to them that I can't say because this is a family friendly program, but he does things to them constantly, over and
Constantly,
over.
over and over. What I
That just
will
got me
say is
frustrated.
that,
Oh man,
oh,
Eastern Conference,
I
please.
did, I did read where they're saying that Dwight Howard may go to the Pelicans. I guess he would go to join the likes of the Brow himself, which would work. But again, here we go again. Poor Omer Ashik
Yes, like it's
getting.
gonna be the same situation again. He's like,
Yep.
I know the situation before. I felt like I dealt with this
I
before.
feel like this happened before. Like, man, that looks so familiar. It
It's
sounds so
like
familiar. Where did I?
I know those.
Oh, those are nice.
No, not those are
Oh, no,
nice.
not those
Oh my
nice. Yes, I
gosh.
went there. I went
But yeah,
there.
but if that happened, like that's just another slap in the face in Omel Ashik. Like he's like, I can't go
Mm,
anywhere without this pissant
mm-hmm.
who wears number 12 that I won't say the name of,
Of course. Of course.
always ruining my spots because that was like that when he was in Houston.
He can't score with he doesn't have a a
Who,
post
Ashik or
repertoire.
Dwight?
Well, neither one of them.
Okay, I'm about to
Honestly,
say, I'm like, which one are you talking about? Because now I'm confused. Because obviously you're saying one of them does, and I don't
I
see it.
mean,
They could both
then,
do layups and dunks.
honestly, I would
Ashik's
go on the limb
Ashik's a
to
little bit
say
better when it comes to passing.
I was gonna say Ashik is a little better when it comes to
Oh,
scoring in the post than Dwight.
absolutely. I mean, Dwight, and that was my biggest gripe about Dwight, even back when he was in Orlando. Even up to today, you mentioned this before. Dwight had the benefit of working with some of the best big men in in basketball history,
Right, and that's
and
my
he
main
still
argument.
can't do anything good.
That's my main argument. You work with Kareem, you work with the Dream, and you work with Kevin McHale. I think he had Patrick Ewing
He
in
worked with Patrick Ewing as
Orlando.
well,
It just bothers me
and
so much.
he doesn't do anything with it. Like, give me a dream shake. Like Yao Ming had the Shaolin Shake, and he dominated
Oh,
people. That's my
I mean,
move. That's
I'm
my
just saying.
move.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, it didn't even make any sense why he could not get
I mean, we're talking about
a
the same guy
post.
that got blocked by Nate Robinson, who's looking to try to go to the Cavs as well, too. By the way.
Oh my God. Wasn't he trying to play football at one point?
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. Somebody stop that guy. But I think that it would either way. If they're not going to give up Ashik, if Ashik goes to Atlanta, he's going to be really, really good. If that's who they're trading away, but I mean, Dwight and Anthony Davis could be a good tandem. Obviously, Anthony Davis is more of a stretch guy.
But is
Dwight
it
would
worth
give
the
them
game?
opportunity. It's really not because you're getting the same player, if not somebody that's on decline. I do know that. Excuse me, my microphone fell off the little desk here. Dang it, Chris! Come
Chris,
on, get it
come on,
together.
Chris, come on, Chris.
Oh my God.
Shout outs to Chris.
Um,
He really does hold it down for us. So we're just busting his balls.
Absolutely, but ultimately, I think it would be a waste. They might as well not even bother trading for Dwight Howard. They really need somebody who can score. So if they're not bringing in somebody that can score, there's no point in bringing them in because it really just doesn't make any sense.
And I completely agree with you. But let's get to our last subject because this is just
The
going to be
major one,
long.
the
And
one that people have
we
been waiting
purposely
for.
left this long. And we're just going to go straight into it. NFL playoffs, the divisional games ended. We now have our final four. Let's talk about the other game before we get to the one that we want to talk
Absolutely,
about.
absolutely. Which was still a good one.
The
It was still a
Patriots
good
against
game.
the Texans turned out to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game.
Although the
Um,
people who still betted in Vegas, plus 15, still won their money.
Absolutely. Which I knew. I think I said it, and I caught myself looking. I was like, wait a minute, the Texans are kind of making this a little competitive. But then I said, nope, never mind. During the show last week, I said, oh, I think you asked me what my prediction was for this game, and I said, what game? There's
Oh
no,
my gosh.
there will be no game. Who are the Patriots going to be playing next? And when the game first started, they were really getting after Brady. They were really shutting them pass down. They were playing really, really good football.
Yes, there was blitzing the A gap a lot. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was just flushing out the pocket.
I mean, it was 17-13. So the game was pretty close.
Hmm.
Um,
And then the second half, the Patriots was like,
blank.
wait a minute, we're New England.
What are we doing? Like, are we playing football? And that's what Bill Belichick was really getting after the team because they just weren't playing well.
Exactly. He wanted to channel his inner pop and say, show me a little nasty out there.
Show a little nasty, but hey, you gotta have some heart.
Hilarious.
You
But
know
the
the
other
ticker.
game that we had in the AFC, the Steelers against the Kansas City Chiefs. Uh, I mean, I knew that the Steelers was gonna win it. I believe we both said the Steelers. I believe
Yeah. Well, you said the
I
Chiefs.
did say the Chiefs. You're right. I did say the
And
Chiefs.
I said, and then I think you gave me some. You tried to give me an excuse as to why Le'Veon
Which,
Bell might not do good because
which,
of snow or
all
rain or
I
something.
said was, all I did was provide X factors to the matchups. That's
Yeah, I knew
all
there
I
was going to
do.
be any X factors because I just don't buy into Andy Reid teams. I don't think Andy Reid is a great coach,
Hmm.
and it might not be him. It could just be the system. It just never ever works in the team's favor. Alex Smith showed that he's a great season quarterback, turning into another Tony Romo who doesn't get injured. Another great season quarterback. That's right, I said it. Another Tony Romo,
Shots
just without
fired.
the injuries. Somebody who can win during the season but can't win in the playoffs. It's shown over and over and over. I think they have a great nucleus of players if they continue to build. Obviously, if they had Jamal Charles, they probably would have been in a little different situation.
Yeah, but the problem
But
is, I don't. I think he's in the steeping decline of his career, though. So
I don't know. We haven't really got a chance to really see him because he's been injured.
I
I
don't know.
think that
He has way too many knee injuries for both knees. I can't. I wouldn't put money on him.
I think he'll be back strong next week. I think he'll be back strong next year. I really do. But
Then the NFC.
yeah, obviously the game ended, and we had Antonio Brown post on Facebook. That was the
Yeah,
major news. What do you? Just a quick penalty. What you think they give him?
just a fine.
That's what I said.
Just a
Maybe a
fine.
quarter.
If
Maybe a
Derrick Rose
quarter.
can only get a fine and start, the same thing's gonna happen to Tony Brown. And
Maybe a
yes, ladies and
quarter.
gentlemen, I went there. Maybe a
Maybe a
nickel.
quarter off.
Maybe a
Maybe a.
nickel.
I mean, maybe a quarter sit. Maybe they sit him for a quarter.
Hilarious. No, they're probably gonna let him sit down for a series.
Moving on to the NFC, where the Falcons steamrolled all over the Seahawks.
Oh my gosh! And I did say which Seattle Seahawks team we will get. Are we gonna get the
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks team that is really good and made Russell Wilson look like an MVP candidate, or the ones that just laid there and other explicitory stuff that I can't say over the radio?
I just felt like the Atlanta just showed up to play. Seahawks, they don't have the skill anymore.
They don't. They
Beast mode
don't.
retiring. They need if they're gonna have Jimmy Graham as their number one, and then all these other small receivers, somebody's really got to step it up, and I just don't see that yet.
I'm okay with that. What they really need to improve on is, well, they didn't have Earl Thomas.
Hmm.
Still hoping that he has a quick recovery. But
Absolutely.
they really just need that workhorse running back. Like,
Which I think
knowing they
Thomas
don't have
Rawls is.
beast mode,
I think
it
Thomas
now
Rawls
shows
has
it.
filled in pretty nice. I think Thomas Rawls has filled in pretty nicely. I mean,
He has, but like,
he's no beast mode, of course.
they're trying to be more balanced, and because they're trying to be more balanced, it just hurts them a little bit more. Like for them, with them being that championship caliber team, they ran the ball like 60% of the time.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
they literally made sure that you're gonna put 8 people in the box, a la Adrian Peterson. Like you're gonna try to stop this run, and that's what helped the passing game so much. Not so much now.
But Russell West, I always almost say Russell Westbrook. Russell
Yes.
Wilson, he needs help out there. It's very clear.
Which I think
It
is,
was easy to
I think it's
rely
gonna be the
on,
running back spot because I don't think they have enough depth. Thomas
but they
Rose
had
is
some.
no scrub, but they need more
They
depth.
had they had a few different running backs out there. It's just obviously there's no beast mode.
No,
I mean, and
but
that
it
makes a
shows
big
it.
difference.
But it shows
Yeah,
it
it
though.
definitely shows. It definitely shows. But obviously, we're moving on to the last game, which was the game of the week.
Wait,
The
hold on, Doctor.
game.
I have one thing to say before we start talking about this game.
Uh oh. Victory is yours, sir. Victory is yours. I mean, although we both picked the Packers to win
I was chilling with
last
inner
week,
Stephen A. Smith, by the way.
and we can go back to the tapes and play it if necessary, but we picked the Packers to win. Felt like, hey, Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. We all know it.
He's a bad man.
But can I just tell you guys how happy and proud the professor was when the clock read 0000 and that field goal went through the uprights
Mason Crosby.
for 34-31 victory. What a amazing
Finish.
finish.
It was so exhausting. The doctor was nearly in tears because of the screenplay. Like,
Literally almost started crying.
it literally exhausted pretty much anyone who watched that game.
I mean, the catch by Jared Cook was amazing. The throw was amazing.
The throw
I
was amazing
thought,
across the body. Rolling to
but
the
you know,
left across the body.
but in all fairness and in all sincerity, I thought the young Cowboys did great. I mean, Dak Prescott 24 for 38, 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. Zeke ran for 125 yards. And finally, finally, somebody called Des Bryant and he picked up the phone and came to the game
He did.
for 9 catches, 132, 2 touchdowns. Finally, that's the Des that I had been looking for. Because
That's
to
the
be honest
Dez
with you,
that you've been goading J5 for the longest.
I really have. Because he really has been with the real Des Bryant.
Please
Please
stand up.
stand up. Like that's where their problem is. They don't have. If he plays like this through the regular season and through the playoffs every game,
Then they're automatic bowl caliber contenders.
every year.
Every
Like
year.
the Falcons
Hands
right now
down.
with Julio Jones, they got a shot.
Absolutely.
You
Especially with
understand?
Devontae Freeman too.
They have a shot. Zeke, Dez, and Prescott, they have a shot.
Hmm.
Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Tony Romo next year, but who cares?
But that's not the crux of this conversation we need to talk about. We've
I
talked
know
about
you.
this for the
I know.
longest, and we need
I
to address
know.
the elephant in
I'm going to put my microphone down.
the room.
The floor is yours, sir.
The main thing that caused us, not only just because we looked at the numbers and we looked at, momentum coming into the game, that caused us both to choose the Packers for the victory, but it
Mhm.
was also because of the fan base. People like to dislike the Yankees fan base for reasons that I understand because, we have one of the longest, championship streaks throughout the four major sports. I can understand that. It's more of because we're winning all the time that they dislike us than the way that the fan base act is why they dislike us. Even though they stayed the latter, but it's not really the latter. The Cowboy fan base is different. They hold on to their dynasty when they won in the 90s and hold on to that really tight so much that if they go on a little run, they start saying things like, yes, we're the best, yes, we're going to win the Super Bowl, which you should do if you're NFL, if you enjoy the NFL, you have a team.
We them boys. Don't forget we them boys.
No disrespect on that. The problem that myself and the doctor have is where they are excited in the victory, they don't show humility in defeat.
Picking my microphone back up.
There you go for it.
I agree. The only thing I think is that somebody put it best on my timeline. They said, we don't have a problem with the Cowboys. And a lot of people I've spoken to who really, really dislike the Cowboys, ironically, really want Dak and Zeke to succeed.
Absolutely.
Don't really care
It's
too much
not the
about Dak.
players, it's not the franchise, it's the fan base.
Right.
It's the
Now,
way that
I
the.
met some people
Hmm.
who are very humble, and not too many, but a few people who, oh yeah, we had a good season, but then there are a lot of people who immediately go to, oh, the refs call bad calls. Oh, we got two rookies starting. Oh,
Welcome
you,
to
you start hearing
sports.
yes, you start getting the excuses, and that's where it's like, hey, you were a terrible winner, and now you're a terrible
Terrible
loser,
loser.
and it's like we don't get anything. It's like you can't lose gracefully, you can't win gracefully,
Nope.
and now we got to put up with your antics.
Throughout the
Where
whole
I saw,
offseason.
but I'm going to tell you, I had never ever really seen outside of the Warriors, and the Thunder, both, people blowing me 3 point leads, um, getting roasted out there. I never really, I think the Cowboys got roasted more than Steph Curry's shoes.
What are those?
I'm gonna tell you, the Cowboys got roasted so bad there were memes on top of memes,
Yep.
like racks on racks on racks out there, and I can almost imagine several Cowboy fans just deactivating their Facebooks and Twitters because
Certain
people were getting
people,
tagged.
certain people said, "Do not post on my timeline, please,
Do
until the
not
game is
tag me.
over." Like,
Do not tag me.
because
Do
the
not.
issue is they're not, they don't show humility in victory.
And I
And
don't know.
the main one that they kept directing their, I guess we could call it angst towards is
The
Giants fans.
calling them midget fans.
Calling them
That's what I
midget
saw.
fans.
I heard nothing but those midget fans. Those
And all
midget
I
fans.
all I can
This.
read throughout the timelines on Facebook and Twitter at Kid86
Uh oh.
TL Double
Uh
is,
oh.
oh, look at all these Giants fans deriding the
The
Packers
Packers.
because they beat them. Oh, but look at the score from the previous
Mm,
week. They got blown out. Like, that's not how you're supposed to do it.
that's not how you do it.
That's not
But I
how you
mean,
do it.
every fan has a right to his own way of celebrating. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you. Obviously, as a Bucks fan, every win that we get is a big one. So I'm always excited. But you know me, I never go on a Facebook rant like, "Oh my God, we did it!" Your team stinks. Never happens. Cowboy fans just don't have that in them.
No, they don't.
Like you would have thought they beat teams by you would have thought they beat every team by 60.
Wasn't there an argument throughout the whole season though?
And they really, I
They
mean,
never
obviously,
really like destroyed the team.
and I mean, I'm just saying, it's like you would have thought they beat every team by 60. Dak and Zeke were both up for MVP. The defense led the league in takeaways, everything, but that just didn't happen.
I'm gonna be real with you and the people out there. Shout out to the people out there listening to us right now, because I'm gonna say this. If y'all don't know, now y'all know. Shout out to Diggy. Rest in peace. The Cowboys had the fourth easiest schedule of this season for the regular
They
season.
did. They did.
The fourth easiest schedule means that they should win all these games because the competition isn't as fierce. Minus
Absolutely.
the divisional games, because divisional games are going to be hard no matter what division you're in. But they should be winning all these games. I mentioned this to J5. Kind of went in one ear and out the other because he said, yes, we should win these games, but we're winning these
we're,
games, so why are you talking about this? And I'm like, the
we're,
reason I'm
we're,
saying this is if the competition was more fierce and
right,
they're winning these games, like if they had the top, toughest schedule in the league and still had a 14-2 record heading to the playoffs,
right.
you won't hear anything from Doc and Proc. But the
Definitely
fact that
not
they're in
from
the
me.
bottom of the barrel for the easiest schedule, I'm not even gonna raise an
You're
eyebrow
not,
towards that.
you're not You're not impressed.
Like Janet Jackson would say, "What have you done for me lately?"
Ooh. Now, I'll give them
I'm
credit.
sorry.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry. Hit you. I'm sorry. Put that on a t-shirt. Now, I'm going to give them credit, and this is what they said. We had a lot of rookies playing. That's great. When it comes down to it, we just want Cowboy fans to humble themselves and say, "Hey,
That's all
we
we
are
want.
we are we are a great organization. We're America's quote unquote America's team. We love the Cowboys, love Dak
Maybe
and
they should
Zeke."
come down for that America's team
Well, that's why they
platform
would
that they give
say,
themselves.
"Hey, you see that the Super Bowl ticket sales have gone down because Cowboys not in it, and
Because
all
they
this
was the
other
heavy
stuff."
favorites. Vegas had them going to
Well,
the Super Bowl against the
but when you
Patriots.
also but when you also think about it, why wouldn't the Cowboys be? Why wouldn't Super Bowl tickets be expensive and be almost sold out when the Super Bowl is in Texas?
That's why the price went down, because they knew that people from Texas would all gather up
Absolutely, and then
and go
drive out.
there. Exactly.
Absolutely. So I
Like
mean,
it's basically a local game, and they know they can shell out more money for people who live locally. It's supply and demand and inflation at its best. And because if it wasn't
so
like that, they know they're going to lose a lot of money if they keep the prices that high.
So now that the villains are out of the Super Bowl, out of Super Bowl contention, the
I mean,
villains are
I
out.
mean, let's just also just say the fact that they sat there and kept saying the Giants enjoyed their Super Bowl by beating them twice
They just lost
was
their
so
Super Bowl.
classless. It was so
It
classless.
was.
It's not even
It
funny.
was. It was like playing Borderlands without a class mod.
Oh my gosh, he did not just go there.
You're
Oh
playing
my
no
gosh.
no class mod, no shield, no nothing. You're just taking them in the face.
Oh my gosh. Uh,
But now that the villains are out, we do have two games this Sunday.
we do. We got to make our picks.
This is a tough week. I'm not gonna lie, because you got four teams that are all on winning streaks,
Correct.
four teams that have all had offensive success, defensive success, also defensive struggles. Every team
Correct.
has struggled defensively, with the exception, I will say, of the Pittsburgh
I will
Steelers.
say that they're probably the hottest defense coming into it.
But this is a tough one to actually predict. I'm going to start the NFC because I really don't even know what to do with the AFC.
Let's do it.
I really,
Packers
really,
versus
I,
Falcons.
I really
Doctor,
so
who
bad.
you got?
I really so badly want to pick the Falcons, but Aaron Rodgers has really destroyed and been a man of his word. I'm going to stick with the Green Bay Packers over the Atlanta Falcons, unfortunately. I hate it because I really think Atlanta might win, but I just feel like Aaron Rodgers is so close to just me,
Wait, how come you can do that but I can't do that? That's hilarious.
because I'm the doctor, and the doctor can do that because of theories and
Obviously, Scott pays you a lot more than me, so I'm gonna say my prediction to keep on going. I'm gonna say
absolutely.
the Falcons because just like you said about the only team that has the best defense coming into the conference championships is the Steelers. I think the Falcons and Matty Ice can
Matty Ice.
roast the Green Bay secondary pretty badly. They got a bad man in Julio Jones, and Mohamed Sanu is still no slouch, and Devontae Freeman. They have a pretty good triple threat right there, and I'm going to pick the Falcons. Let's go to the AFC.
I'm gonna let you pick this one first because I just picked the NFC first because I'm so torn. Like if I could put a tie on this, I really would, but I can't.
You want to originally say it's going to be the Patriots, but I'm going to go Steelers.
And do you want to
For
know
me,
why?
it's all about the defense for me.
Can I just
I feel
tell?
like they can make Tom Brady a lot more uncomfortable.
Can I just tell you that there's no possible way that Tom Brady will lose two conference championships back to back, getting sacked and manhandled. Obviously, that Broncos team last year really came after him. I don't see it happening twice. I know my coworkers at work, my Steeler fans, if they are listening, are probably going to be like, "Don't you dare be sour on us." But I'm
Who you
gonna
got?
go with I'm gonna go with Tom Terrific and the Patriots.
And I could understand that, and I can respect that too, because once again, that one's a harder pick between the two.
That's gonna be a good game too.
But it's gonna be a good game. I think both games are gonna be incredible, and I can't wait to watch them. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're running out of time, so we're gonna give you 20 seconds of the doctor's last thoughts.
Well, another great show. Very, very appreciative. I would definitely also remind you that we are on Twitch. I'm on Twitch, Dr. Wednesday Night. Every once in a while, we do play some Borderlands, and again, we're most likely going to get into some Left 4 Dead. And go ahead and take it away, Prof.
I really don't have any final thoughts. Once again, great ADGQ. I'm ready for the SDGQ coming up in the summertime. I'm also looking forward to Evo as well too. So for me,
Yoo-hoo.
game is life, and just like ball is life. But we're gonna leave you with a great song by a great fan of the show. You heard him a couple of times. His name's Substantial.
Great
Uh,
album.
it is a terrific album. We're gonna put the link out there when we post it out. The name of the song is Last Impressions featuring Lina. And we'll catch you again next week. I am Professor John Gotti.
This is Dr. Wednesday Night himself.
And we'll catch you again next week. Peace and love.
Deuces.
Merlin, y'all got me cuz sub in the style, come rock with us. DC, y'all got me cuz Hypnot in the spot, come rock with us. Hey, VA, y'all got me cuz Joint John Crank, come rock with us. Worldwide, get live with us. Turn the volume way up, come rock with us. You rockin' the world. Can't end before it begins. No one does it alone, and we too old to play pretend. This is for my supporters, family and friends. Why keep us sticking by me like we were Siamese twins? Last love was generic, my status ain't got some apparent. Came up on the low like I be shopping the clearance. And I do, cause my biz more important than my appearance. Shouldn't just run the cover, but you can tell the shit is serious. The past is always present in the future. I ain't going nowhere but up. Was naming your favorite rapper before you was looking them up. Advising some legends for y'all acknowledge my presence. Marathoning these sprinting while minimizing my effort. Maximizing my gains. A rapper that's got the brains. Flew my family, got the country for 200 and some change. I be stacking the miles. I'm frequently on the flies. When you say above the clouds, it's easy to take them higher. Let's go, 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 go. Battle tested and approved. Y'all about it in your party, I fixated your crew. Kinda ish we used to do with dudes. Battle over rhythms, beatbox, lunch table over trash radio system. Hand claps, DJ. But eventually I moved on. Cause unlike rappers nowadays, I make pretty good songs. I never shuck and jive for motherfuckers live. I make the type of music that help people reconstruct their lives. I know you love it, pride, so put it on repeat. Still climbing like I don't know a peak, flowing like you disabled. You sounded like you don't know a beat, rocking the awkward pair with loops, dirtier than Nova's feet. Couldn't pay them to notice me, now they pay cause they know it's me. Heads turning like rotaries, knowing he's awesome totally. Exes who still ain't over me, realigning their ovaries. Respected globally, now they loving me locally. Urban legend, surely repping MD, you better know what we in. One part of my legacy, but time will tell what will come from these youngins who met with me. To yellow, white, and ebony, all for verbal weaponry. Topple obstacles that stand between them and destiny. Haters, fakers, and shotters, like takers and coppers who wanna F up your chakras, but don't let none of them stop ya. Gotcha, live for trees when we're awake, now that's the mantra. When you carry the weight, remember who was there to spot ya. Keep pushing from the top. Wayne, you got me, cuz I appreciate you, queen, for rockin' with us.